This is the Royal Mile, a street in downtown that's full of museums, shops, restaurants, tons of fun stuff for kids to do. It's actually set on a big hill leading up to the main castle at the top of the hill. It's a steep climb, so be sure to bring those prams and buggies for the kids.
And it's chock full of history. Amazing carved buildings, castles and palaces line the Royal Mile here, and a rich, proud culture is evident in the kilts and bagpipes that are actually still seen and heard throughout the streets.
Go on, blow, blow. Go on, you can do it. Go on, go on.
But don't write it off as just a piece of history. Edinburgh has a definite cosmopolitan feel with an international flavor and a huge array of restaurants and museums. We'll discover the old and the new in
Travel in Scotland!
Travel. Who says it can't be done with the kids? Well, many have, and we're here to prove otherwise. Here's our story.
Sometime after college and before being grown-ups, we, that's me,
And that's me.
left it all behind for 1 year to see the world. With a one-way ticket in hand, we had a grand adventure across 35 countries.
Fast forward 5 years, a house payment, real jobs, and a different sort of adventure called parenthood. With these guys,
That's me. I'm Nathan and I'm 7. That's me. I'm Janice and I'm 5.
Now we're off again to share our adventures with you as we discover the wonders of the world, the wonders of nature, the wonders of parenthood, and sometimes wonder, what were we thinking in Travel with Kids? In this episode of Travel with Kids, join us as we roam the streets and tiny wynds of Edinburgh, learning about Scotland's tumultuous history at Edinboro Castle,
If I was in a battle and I had a sword, I would just spin, spin, spin.
and exploring the fascinating museums here, including one that takes us even farther back in time. Looks like we're going through the glacier, huh?
whoa.
Plus, find out what Seamus is doing here. What the coolest place we found to stay is. I'll give you a hint.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair!
And if Jeremy can overcome his biggest fear.
I don't think I can do it.
When traveling with kids, it's important to hand over part of the responsibilities of travel to them. It makes them feel like they're an important part of the trip, and it keeps your sanity. That way, they get to experience making some decisions, what to bring, what stays home,
What are you guys having here, rocks?
Yeah!
and we're not held accountable if something's left behind. And in the airport, we use our strollers as luggage carts.
There are all kinds of ways to get to Edinburgh. By train from England, by ferry, and of course an international airport with flights from all over the place. We've opted for a flight and the views are already spectacular. Vast fields of yellow flowers spread out below us, giving way to pockets of lush green. With all the legends and myths from the time of castles and lords here in Scotland, we decided to reinforce that history lesson in our lodging accommodations. We're staying at Melville Castle, where we're greeted in true Scottish fashion.
Bagpipe right there in front of the castle.
Of the new Scotland rugby anthem. Aye.
Hundreds of castles have now been turned into places to stay. Everything from hostel castles, guest house castles, all the way up to 5-star luxury castles. Melville Castle is somewhere in the middle and fits our budget perfectly. Originally the home of the Melville family, the tower house constructed in the 14th century no longer stands. The current castle was built in the late 1700s for Henry Dundas, 1st Viscount of Melville.
Everything is just as it should be. Where's my chariot? Oh, we have to walk to the bus stop? Oh well, the walk is through the beautiful grounds of the castle. A forested path winds through tall trees and by whispering creeks. Although Melville is a few miles outside of Edinburgh, there's plenty of public transportation. And the bus stop is just outside the castle grounds. And the schedule, easy to read.
Number 3. And that's our bus. We'll leave it.
And in no time, we're in the heart of Edinburgh. Intricately carved buildings line the street here on the Royal Mile. Some date back hundreds of years. The main street here is called the Royal Mile, and it runs from Holyrood Palace to Edinboro Castle, tucked away in narrow alleyways called Wynds, and lining the main street are little shops, cafes, and museums.
While the Royal Mile is lined with historical buildings like pubs and inns, its wide array of museums and international flair give it a nice mix of old and new. It's a great place for strolling and is packed with pedestrians. And while the museums along here are interesting, one building in particular has caught the attention of our little knights.
Edinboro Castle was built in the 12th century, and the first meeting of Scottish Parliament took place here. The only building in the current castle complex that dates back from this time is St. Margaret's Chapel. In 1386, Robert the Bruce had David's Tower built, but it was destroyed, as many of the buildings here were, during the Long Siege, when Queen Elizabeth I took the castle on behalf of the infant King James VI. In the 16th century, the castle was rebuilt with towering thick walls and defenses like the Half Moon Battery. Above the battery, Crown Square, originally laid out in the 1500s, is enclosed by the National War Memorial, the Royal Palace, the Great Hall, and the Queen Anne Building. The Royal Palace now holds the Honour of Scotland, which includes the Crown of Scotland and the Stone of Destiny, the Scottish throne. In the 18th century, the castle was refortified to defend against Jacobites, wishing to return the House of Stuart back to the throne, opposing union with England. Today, the castle is one of Edinburgh's top attractions and draws crowds from around the world.
In the castle, the kids are fascinated by all the royal history, pointing out the crests.
This hamster going, ah!
A hamster?
And royal costumes, and a peek at the crown jewels, which includes the Stone of Destiny. This is a stone chair where the kings and queens of England are still crowned today. Right through here, but, oh, denied.
No iPods, no cameras.
Oh well, you'll just have to imagine the glittering bounty of jewels that make up the crown, scepters and goblets inside. But a carving of the crown and scepter outside give a good idea of what to expect.
This is what the scepter was like, that's what the queen holds in her
I
hand.
know, she goes like,
This is what her crown looks like, so you can actually feel and touch these, because you can't do that with the real crown.
this is molded.
And it seems royal fever is going around.
I'm the queen.
And the boys demand to receive their rightful status as kings.
I crown you King Seamus of Seamusburg. I crown you King Nathan of Nathanville.
And they return the favor. And even share it with our loyal viewers.
King of travel of kids.
Our new little kings are instantly ready to begin delivering orders. Our first visit as royals is to the battery of cannons.
I see it! And over there's the cannonball! They're really cannonballs, and they shoot out cannons really fast, and it blowing me up. Uh-oh.
And they survey their newfound lands.
I see the ocean. I see England! Look it! Oh yeah, train! Choo-choo!
The newly crowned kings would like to inspect the prisons, so it's off to the dungeon with us.
Are you ready, guys? Ready?
We could go further into the dungeons on a tour of the spooky underground. But I think these are just the right pace for kids of this age. After seeing how the prisoners lived back in the olden days, they give their first royal edict.
Go to the king. Go to bed. If I was in a battle and I had a sword, I would just spin around.
And we find the Hall of Fame where the real heroes are honored.
This is the medals. These are all the medals that someone won in wars that the queen gave them us. There's one. And there's lots up there, and there's some.
And lots of other treasures.
And there's these golden cups that the king and queen used. And some statues, and here's one of the bagpipers. These look like my green. And here's a medal.
In the castle, King Nathan notices part of the fabric of Scot culture. The plaids they use for the kilts and pants worn by the Scottish Guard each have special meaning.
Yes, this is green tartans are what they called hunting tartans, because it's what traditionally the clansmen would have gone out hunting in. So this is actually the hunting Macintosh clan. Now there's a lot of Macintoshes, quite a few in this.
So we head over to the Scottish Fabric Factory to learn how it's made. Well, not quite Irish, but there is a lot of spillover in culture to and from Ireland. After all, the Gaels that inhabited these lands came from Ireland, and more recently, many immigrants during the Irish famine landed here before heading out to other parts of the world. Giant looms weave colorful threads together in dazzling plaids.
After learning the meaning of kilts, the kids are interested in learning more about Scottish culture. So we head down the street to Bagpipes galore.
The arm isn't long enough, you end up with your fingers like so, and you can't get the bottom away.
Bagpipes from all ages decorate the wall here, and the shop owner takes time to show the boys how they work.
That's what makes a continuous background noise of. Go in there. Then you have a chanter reed in here. Thumb hold the back. See the hold the back? Thumb goes on there. Not too hard. A little bit flatter. Sit.
I think they need some lessons. But the owner explains it's really the combination of the reeds that make the traditional bagpipe sound. And he gives them lessons on playing the whole enchilada, or haggis-ada.
Who wins the toss gets to go first, okay? You ready? Heads or tails? You win. On your arm. That in your mouth. Bring this hand down here. That's it. Down you go. Now, start blowing. Go on. Blow. Go on. Go on, you can do it. You stop for the breath, squeeze the bag.
Not bad, Nathan, but let's just see how Seamus does. His name does fit a bit more with the instrument, so...
Well done.
And he fills the bag and bursts out sounds. But he keeps going, and soon his bagpipe sounds fill the city. Got a contender here. I always knew Seamus was full of hot air.
What?
After the bagpipe lesson, it's time for ear surgery. I mean lunch. So we stop at one of the many cafes lining the Royal Mile.
Sandwiches are good. Yeah, because it's a milkshake.
And get a celebratory milkshake.
After lunch, we want to explore some of the incredible museums around the Royal Mile. It seems like every block or so there's a museum of some sort, so we just stroll down the hill and, the Museum of Childhood. What would be better for kids? Let's check it out. Inside, cases of dolls, toys, and games line the walls. And there's also toys out on the floor that the kids can play with.
This is really to play with. My name's Badger. Hi.
This museum gives kids a good idea of what life was like before the Xbox and Game Boys, and even incorporates Scottish history and legends.
Why does it say find the Loch Ness Monster and there's Loch Ness Monster? And there's the fish.
The kids enjoy the break in the day, playing games.
Feel and guess what it is.
A kitchen spoon.
You're right.
And seeing what toys used to look like. Back out on the street, the kids shop for souvenirs and choose some postcards to send home.
Awesome picture of old land.
The boys even find a Scottish friend in the window display of a shop.
Puppy.
Before we stumble upon another museum, the Museum of Edinburgh. The museum offers an overview of the history of this town in still life scenes, making a quick history lesson fun for the kids. After the last glaciers of the Ice Age receded over 10,000 years ago, humans arrived in Scotland and years later began to build villages. Due to its location between the Anglo kingdoms of England and the Scottish kingdoms of the Highlands, Edinburgh was the site of many battles and switched hands over and over again. Oswald of Northumbria to the Scottish leaders David and Malcolm, then to Edward I, and finally Robert the Bruce, who was crowned King of Scotland and led the kingdom in the Wars of Independence. In 1328, a treaty was signed in Edinburgh, declaring Scotland independent and leading to a long reign of the House of Stuart. In the 1500s, King James IV constructed Holyrood Palace as a royal residence. But the mid-16th century brought more unrest with the English, which continued until Scottish King James VI became King of England as well, uniting the two crowns. In the 1600s, Edinburgh grew to 25,000 people. Today, the city is home to almost 500,000 people and is known as one of the most beautiful cities in all of Europe. The boys check out the exhibits here with a new appreciation of the huge battles fought to secure the modern city.
Skeleton.
And they have visions of knighthood as we head back out onto the street.
At the bottom of the hill, we could visit the Palace of Holyrood, but a different museum catches the eyes of our future scientists, and it will give us a better idea of the history of this area, going back much farther than humans and even Loch Ness. Dynamic Earth is a museum that covers the entire span of our planet's history. We begin our tour by entering a time machine and taking a trip back in time. And arrive to a time when the only thing that lived on Earth was a stew of single-celled animals. We travel slowly back through time now, through the land of dinosaurs in and out of ice ages.
Looks like we're going through the glacier, huh?
Real ice. It is real ice. And stick their fingers until it melts. I can't believe people actually do this. They make their finger holes. Did someone actually wait and wait and wait and wait and wait? It's the shape of my finger. It's real ice.
we get to see the forces of nature that created the British Isles. And then moving forward, 2 more current animals. From the Arctic, we board a submarine and head for land.
The giant submarine.
The land exhibits show us how the tribes in each area of Earth lived.
She comes out, and she lives in there. And then the Eskimo!
And fun interactive displays that teach all about the animals.
Top of the tree!
Today we're taking it easy. The kids met a really nice man who works at our hotel. He sneaks them cupcakes.
Cool, I got a yellow one.
Are you guys eating the wedding cake?
Huh?
And tells them all about playing a bagpipe in the Scottish Brigade. And he recommends a nearby museum, which is perfect for kids.
Butterflies are in here and it's very hot.
Butterflies circle our heads as soon as we walk inside.
And there's butterflies all surrounding it. There's one. There's one. There's one right there. Look at it. It's in there. Oh, that's the drink. Here's some caterpillars in their cocoon. Hello, guys. This is a butterfly that's the spore. And it's a cute little butterfly. And here's the cocoons. Here's one cocoon. Here's another. There's another. There's another. And there's lots more.
This one was just born, so he's trying to figure out how to fly.
These ones are just getting out of their cocoons, Seamus. Just came out.
But there's more than just butterflies here.
It's a catfish. Oh, the hive thing! Square thing! Oh gosh.
These wag their abdomens, so they wag their hips. That's how they communicate about where to find flowers. It's called the Waggle Dance. Can you do a Waggle Dance?
Mostly of the harmless variety.
See late ants, and then they climb up that rope all the way round, round, and round, and in here. And these are cockroaches. There's tons. See all these? They're cockroaches, and these are scorpions. And I got bited on. See that one? I got bited and stinged. It really hurt.
But at the Butterfly Museum, it's not limited to just looking at these creepy creatures.
By 12 o'clock, you can get the millipede, the snake, and the spider. So you're not going to miss out.
Did he say spiders? No, spiders and I don't mix. I don't even like to look at them, much less touch one. Seamus is with me as he grimaces at the thought of all of those millipede legs crawling all over his hands.
Millipedes, these ones have 252 legs. These millipedes like to eat things like dead leaves and twigs and rotten fruit. So they will not try and eat your fingers, okay? So you're perfectly safe.
But he steps up to the challenge, and soon enough he feels the tickle of hundreds of legs. That's gonna be a tough example to follow.
That's a lot of legs. Oh, tickly. Is it too tickly?
Well, Seamus braves up to the challenge, but can I? I'm just hoping the spiders aren't next. I can't look. Are there 8 legs?
This is our African royal python.
Oh, okay. No legs. I can do that.
Flies are moving.
Wow, you can actually see her muscles contracting as she pulls herself past all the little hands.
These snakes are really strong.
Yeah, they're really strong.
Because the slithers don't walk.
The kids have lots of fun watching the snake flicker its tongue and inch along, and I'm hoping that this will be the last one of the day. But sure enough, all too soon, guess what comes out next?
Girl's gonna go for a little walk, a little stroll. And we've got our eyes are up here.
Yeah.
8 little eyes.
Oh great, 8 beady little eyes to match her creepy crawly legs. Ew. The kids seem to enjoy holding it.
Excellent, good job.
I am getting sweat, see? Was it scary, Nathan?
Fun.
Phobia. Cold sweats, standing on chairs, screaming when I see a spider.
But now it's my turn.
I don't think I can do it.
Do you want to keep walking, or are you quite happy just like
Yeah,
this now?
it's fine. Take it.
I did it! Woo!
Back at the castle, we explore the area and hang out on the lawns enjoying the lush surrounds. As I look up at the old stone walls of the castle, I reflect on all the Gaelic history and tradition that is still so much a part of Scotland today. And I think about all the ways we experienced it firsthand.
Go on again.
Good job.
Learning to play the bagpipe and about all the different Scottish plaids. And discovering all the kid-friendly fun in the museums here. And I realize what a great place Edinburgh is for families.
Thanks for joining us in this edition of Travel with Kids Scotland. To continue with us on our journey through Scotland, or for more information on family-friendly destinations, and for family travel tips, visit us at travelwithkids.tv.